Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into some incredibly fascinating source material that completely reframes how we actually think about money. It suggests that building true wealth isn't just about getting lucky, right? No, it's about architecting a solid financial fortress. It's really about how you build, not just what you earn. Let's see exactly how this blueprint comes together.
So, want to keep more money in your pocket and build wealth faster? I mean, it's a universal goal, isn't it? But here's the thing. The source material outlines 5 essential behavioral shifts to actually get us there. And don't worry, there are absolutely no complex trading algorithms here, just solid, practical, structural engineering for your finances.
Okay, let's dive into this. The blueprint organizes these 5 simple finance tips into 3 main construction phases. First up, laying the solid foundation. Second, building your defensive walls. And finally, fueling the wealth engine.
Phase 1. Laying the solid foundation. Because, as we'll see, you simply cannot build a secure house on a shaky base. This phase is all about gaining ground-level control over your money.
To build that bedrock, we've got to start with tip number 1. Pay yourself first. It sounds basic, but the source emphasizes this as an absolutely critical behavioral flip. Instead of waiting to save whatever happens to be left over after your expenses, your savings takes the number 1 priority slot before anything else.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how it works. The goal here is to carve out at least 10% of your income and treat it like an unmovable, absolutely mandatory bill. By making that 10% completely non-negotiable, the whole process becomes automatic. Then, you're totally free to use the remaining 90% for your living expenses and discretionary spending. It just makes the whole thing entirely manageable. Moving right along. Tip number 2 builds directly on top of that first one. Track every expense. Think about it like this. Untracked spending? It's like tiny cracks in your concrete. You might not even notice them at first, but slowly water seeps in. Small, everyday purchases add up rapidly, creating massive leaks that can completely undermine everything you're trying to build.
Seriously, guessing where your money goes is exactly how you wake up at the end of the month wondering where on earth your paycheck vanished to. The source material strongly urges replacing that guesswork with certainty. How? By using a simple budgeting app or even just a trusty notebook to track every single cent. Knowing exactly where your money goes seals those cracks. It puts you in total command.
All right, on to phase 2, building your defensive walls. Because now that the foundation is poured, we need to erect protective walls to defend the house from sudden storms. Tip number 3, avoid high-interest debt. Listen, high-interest debt acts like a literal wrecking ball swinging right at your freshly built walls. The source specifically calls out credit card debt here as one of the absolute biggest threats to your financial structural integrity.
So what is it? High-interest debt includes balances like credit cards that grow incredibly quickly. The blueprint is crystal clear on this point. You have to aggressively neutralize this threat and pay these off first before it destroys what you've built. Executing this defensive maneuver saves you a massive amount of money in the long run.
To finish up our defensive walls, we're skipping ahead just a bit to tip number 5, build an emergency fund. Look, if paying off debt removes the wrecking ball, an emergency fund builds a protective moat around your castle. It is your ultimate safety net against absolute financial ruin.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the critical target zone, 3 to 6. You need to save 3 to 6 months. And we're not talking about 3 to 6 months of your full income, but of your bare bones living expenses. That is the exact thickness required for your walls to ensure that one bad month doesn't snowball into a disastrous year.
Why 3 to 6 months? Because, let's face it, the universe just loves to test our financial resolve, right? Sudden medical emergencies, unexpected job loss, or maybe a massive car repair right when you literally can least afford it. But with fully funded defensive walls, these inevitable emergencies, they just become mere inconveniences rather than life-altering catastrophes.
And now, phase 3, fueling the wealth engine. This is where we shift the tone. We're moving from urgent defense to the truly awe-inspiring upward expansion of our financial architecture.
Which brings us back to tip number 4, start investing early. This is the very engine at the center of your fortress. It's the mechanism that actually allows the structure to practically build itself over time. Sure, your daily labor earns you money, but investing, that is what creates true, lasting, generational wealth.
Let's move to and see how this builds. You start out small. Maybe you start investing with that exact 10% you've been paying yourself first. As time passes, the magic ingredient of compound interest kicks in. And it really is magic. As decades roll by, this process cascades into truly massive, significant growth.
The secret here is that the earlier you start, the more time compound interest has to do the heavy lifting for you. Time is, without a doubt, your greatest ally here.
Phase 4. Taking your first step. It's time to hand the blueprint over to you, empowering you to start building your future today.
So, the crucial point is really captured perfectly by this quote from the source material. Financial success isn't about earning more, it's about managing money wisely. You see, a high salary with a cracked foundation is still going to lead to a collapsed house eventually. The architecture, the actual design of how you handle your money day in and day out matters so much more than your raw income.
The source gives us 2 final, empowering instructions. Step 1. Start with just one tip today. Just pick one. Start tracking your expenses this week, or go ahead and set up that automatic savings transfer. Just do something. And step 2. Remember that your future self will thank you. Taking action today is quite literally doing a massive favor for the person you're going to be decades down the road.
Which leaves us with a final, very important thought. Which of the 5 pillars will you build today? The mortar is mixed, the blueprint is right in front of you, and it's crystal clear. The choice of when to start building is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me for this quick explainer.